All right, what's up, everybody? I think at this point you should be able to see my Bitcoin chart. The goal of today's stream is going to be that we will cover the macro and micro aspects of Bitcoin to see how this affects our current trading setups moving forwards. The next things that we will talk about will be Ethereum and how Ethereum could or should act moving forward. And then after that, we'll run right into you guys' alt requests. As always, if you guys don't mind smashing up the like button. And where are you guys from? I see that we got 4 people in the house today. I'm going to wait a little bit longer till we get a couple more people in. We only got 5 people in so far. Like to get around 10 viewers and 10 likes on the board. And then get the stream going so that I know we're not just talking to an empty room here. But as always, you know, we're going to go through Bitcoin. We're going to cover what our micro and macro strategies moving forward could be and what we could be looking at. Sorry, this is some stuff that we drew this morning in education. As always, go over, check out the Discord. The link's in my bio. Come on in, see what we've been doing. We've been just nailing the plays. We had Bitcoin longs and XRP longs last night. Obviously, the XRP longs have paid out phenomenally much better than the Bitcoin ones. And that's something that we said, you know, in the Discord. We were like, hey, here's the 2 potential longs. Both had the identical setup, but be aware that XRP could potentially produce a bigger result than what we could have seen produced on Bitcoin. And that was something we shared in the Discord. And that went really well. We got 7 people in here, guys. If you don't mind hitting the like button so we get enough likes on the stream that other people will begin to see our stream. Let's see who we got in here so far. What's up, Brian? What's up, Addie? Oh, what's up, Andy? Everybody's up in here. Let me just pop something in the chat really quickly, and then I'll pin it to the top and we'll get going. Sorry, it's difficult to type and talk at the same time. So, if you guys don't mind, just go ahead and get your charts in here one at a time. And as we just chat and kind of hang out and wait for those chart requests, understand, you know, that if you have any questions, whether those questions be, hey man, how do you set your fibs up? How do you use the reach? What's up, Nameless Monster? How do you use your retracement fibs? How do you use your extensions? How do you spot divergences? If you have anything like that, please do ask, because I truly think the educational aspect of this is much more entertaining than just talking the charts all day, okay? But yeah, if you guys need anything, get those chart requests in the chat. We got 10 people in here, 4 likes so far. Smash that fucking thing up. Let's get 6 more likes on the board. Let's have 10 likes on this thing so other people see the stream. And let's get it started like that. You know what I mean? Let's keep the vibe going. Do we have any FARTBOY people in the house today? I'm hoping we got a couple FARTBOY people in here because, man, it's that coin is doing really, really well right now. FARTBOY's been on quite a little bit of a leg, and it's absolutely amazing to get to watch some of these altcoins make good reversals. FARTBOY's nearly about to justify a 5-wave up. And if it does, it's going to present a really good opportunity after, so be aware of that. Can I ask you guys a question? Lately, YouTube's been having a lot of issues. Can you guys hear the stream, and can you see the stream? Just let me know in the chat, because for some reason it's been kind of spotty lately with the recordings and stuff. Let me see here. I got FARTBOY to $4. Hell yeah, you know it. I don't know if we'll quite reach the $4 mark, but let's see how this local leg starts to shape up. Okay, so far I've got Solana. Let me write a couple of these down. Thank you guys for getting these altcoins requests in. It really makes the stream exciting when you guys all have your charts in. So from Andy Lawson, I got Solana for Andy. Thank you for that, friend. And also thank you for coming to the stream today. The next one I got is from Jabray40. Good to see you. I don't think we've ever chatted before, and if we have, I deeply apologize. You would like DMTR. This is something that I think we looked at last stream, so we might have a decently updated chart on it. So let's see if we were wrong, and let's see how the plans have changed. Brian wants me to show how to do the time-based fib for length of a wave. Perfect. So then we'll drop a time-based section in here, and that'll be for B. And we'll cover basically the very easy basics of it, okay? All right. I apologize also, guys. I am very sick, but I didn't want to skip this today. These streams mean a lot to me. I love chatting with you guys and going through the charts. Even though I've been severely ill, I still show up every day to my community. I still provide them with the assistance that they need, and I'm always there for them. So that's why I wanted to be here today for you guys too. Thanks for letting me know the stream looks good, guys. The next thing that we have would be Zcash. Thank you for that, friend. I have been charting this one in the Discord nameless. We actually took a short on it a while ago, and we have a stop loss on that we talked about in our live stream yesterday, so we'll go look at that and see how that's panned out. While we wait for more of your chart requests, I am going to go ahead and go through Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then we'll roll into what we have next. So far we got 12 people here watching, guys. If you please don't mind, smash up that like button, and let's get the stream going. Here we go. We got B putting in QNT. I'll get that one done also. All right. So let's go talk about Bitcoin, okay? I'm going to delete everything so we can just talk. Have just a nice little mellow conversation here. Let's get rid of volume while we look at this. And let's talk about the macro on Bitcoin, okay? This is going to be, I'm only going to stay on the daily. I really don't think we need to go below that. You're going to see many, many variations out there. We've talked about numerous of them. People saying this is A, B, and going for C. That is one variation. Another valid variation that your people want to try to claim is an A, a B, and a C. We could talk about that one also. But let's go through the first one and then we'll move into that. So if by the skin of its teeth, mathematics were that this was a 0 into an A, this is all a B wave up to the very tip top, that would mean that you are hoping this is a C wave down, right? The most common thing for C to do would be to take the lows of A. So until the lows of A are taken, it's really hard to say that that is a flat, okay? Now, the next thing that you check mathematically when you check flats is a retracement from a high to a low, and we look for our expanded B retracement pocket, and that is the 1.236 through 1.382, which you received great rejections at. Now, there's no channeling method that we can use on this until we form the wave 4 of the wave C. So the scenario that I'm talking about right now, this C wave to the downside, regardless if it is the C wave or if it is an A wave or a wave 1 to the downside, which we will get into later, both of those corrections still lend itself to a massive pump after. So if this is 5 waves down in a C, we look for a big retracement after, right? So in this scenario, this ABC, you wouldn't get a 3-wave return up. You would actually get a much stronger impulse, right? So in that scenario, this is much more bullish. That's where you go on to finish a bull cycle into 2026 is my best guess. Maybe in April of 2026, sometime around when stimulus checks might hit, you could see an injection of money going into the markets, the stock markets, businesses getting the triple P loans, all these people dumping their money into Walmarts and Targets and pumping stocks because of it. People putting their money in crypto being risky. Let me get a sip of coffee here. But hey, sorry, I'm going to be all over the place, guys. I haven't got to talk to you in a while, so I'm kind of excited. And when we go over here and we look, you got those stimulus checks last time in around April of 2020, okay? So, let me check here. March. It was about mid-April of 2020, so around here is where you started to get an influx of stimmy checks. And you can see what the market did since then. So that could be something that we see. Excuse my coughing. But this could take, you know, until those checks happen. And I really think that could take until after taxes. All right. So let's keep talking about Bitcoin. So in this ABC scenario that I'm on about, this is one thing to be watching for. But that means that a C wave needs to be what? Because a C wave can only be one thing. There's one fucking answer for a C wave. It's a 5-wave motion, right, guys? So in a C wave, we're looking for displacement to happen. I think you're just starting to get that displacement, right? So by that, I mean, to get that same 5-wave motion to the downside, we want a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 1, a wave 2, and then we start to go into would-be 3s and 4s and 3s and 4s and 5s, right? I think that's how you get quite a little punchy correction where everybody says this shit is over at 1.382, right? So this is something to be aware of for Bitcoin, that what if the local scenario is only a wave 4 retrace and a wave 4 retrace, but each time, right, there is an opportunity for alts to go ape shit during this because Bitcoin's not making the best moves, while on the same time on the board, we're watching 8% return on XRP, 11% return on SUI, right? The fucking board is fucking green. FARTBOY's going fucking ape, right? All of these things are having good returns. To find red, I had to search, right? So immediately, what do you think that does to sentiment? Well, that's easy, right? So what happens to sentiment is people immediately flip bullish, right? So let's just chart this for the C wave to the downside and nothing else, because in my opinion, whether it's a C wave or a valid 5 waves down in a larger structure, we'll find out later. I don't even think this is in yet, but let's just talk our way through this. All right. So if that's a wave 1 into wave 2, and again, another wave 1 into a wave 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make this count orange. And we're going to zoom in just a hair here so we can see a little bit more of what's going on. And if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. I would love to hear them. I think that's the best part of this, really, is the conversations. All right, so whenever we're watching moves to the downside in a C wave, we look for a base channel of our macro wave 1 into 2, right? So we place it from high to the high of the 2 to the low of the 1. This is a base channel on the move down. As soon as the base channel is lost with support, it starts to verify, let me make sure I'm on logarithmic, it starts to verify that this is likely making an impulse or some sort of displacement to the downside, right? So when we look at this again, we're like, oh shit, there's a second 1 into 2. Okay, so let's look at its base channel at this time. Move my little favorites bar back over here. And how's everybody doing today? Where are you guys all coming from? Europe, Germany, what do we got? Who do we got in the house? America, what do we got? Canada. You can see on both fronts, we lose the base channel and begin to form it as resistance and are now starting to tap into it again, right? So to ditch some of the noise, let's get rid of that. My largest concern is then right here, another wave 1 into 2, right? I would say that's my biggest concern. A 3, a 4, and a 5, and this is an inner count. Let's make that blue, And that is the inner count of this 3. And we're waiting to make a local 4 and then another 5 to the downside, okay? And let me know, guys, if any of this gets muddy, and we'll go through it. So when we look at mathematics again, and we go from 0 to 1 to 2, well, we already saw the validation of losing a base channel, right? But now you saw the validation of losing the corrective 1.382. As soon as you see that, you begin to tell yourself, holy shit, this is impulsive, right? So in the Discord, I told everybody this was the target we were looking for. We stayed biased for that. Over the weekend, we ran the community as a bullish weekend. We even ran a poll before it, and it's hilarious to watch a base of community members be so educated that they actually nailed market direction over the weekend. So the majority of us rode longs over the weekend and still are. And here we're looking for this to be some sort of bullish movement, right? But still corrective, generally going nowhere. We can cover more about how we'll know when that starts to change. So if we go from orange 2 to the low of orange 3, and we turn our wave 4 retracement on, this gives us easy invalidation at the 0.618 because wave 4s don't go to the 0.618, and they highly unlikely to lose the 0.5. Right? So bulls aren't really looking to get above here, and they're looking for a 3-wave motion that could even come up to the 0.5. At that point, what you would like to see on your RSI and price action is that we make a hidden bear divergence when this price action comes up in some sort of 3-wave motion, that you make a hidden bear divergence at that point in time on your RSI. You can already see how this is starting to come to fruition. We're already hidden bear divergence with this pivot, Yep, it's about to print. It hasn't yet. We still have a little bit of time, I believe. Yeah, we still have to finish this 8 hours. So we still have 4 hours left to call that. But you are starting to stack up a little bit of hidden bear divergence. That means that the RSI is cranking up while price action is in a downtrend. And the RSI is going higher than the price action closures to the pivots prior, right? So I apologize, guys. I am sick as hell. But anywho'ser. So if we're looking for the first wave in a correction, the thing that we like to see in Elliott wave is a wave 2 to 4 ratio of around 1 to 1 in time. We've been on about this in the Discord for a little bit because I do think it's critical to understand that this correction could take out until around Thursday at 8 a.m. Now, there's an opportunity and a big what if factor here on Bitcoin. That what if that correction takes longer, right? So not only do we see Thursday, but what if we even push through the weekend being corrective, and then that following week, potentially look at that next leg to the downside, right? Maybe possibly that can lead into what we have going on in our Forex news. Let me switch this to the weekly. I apologize. On this next week, so today is Monday. We have no news today. Tomorrow you have all the core PPI coming in, core retail and PPI. Unemployment claims will be the big one on Wednesday. That will set us up for the move for Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. And as you can see, next week is absolutely stocked with plenty of Forex data coming in. These manufacturing indexes will tell us a lot whether we're a growth phase or not. Same with when we get to the non-farm employment changes, more unemployment and core PC for the rest of that week. If this data doesn't come in great, this could be the red week sending you into December. So we will see what happens. People always speak of the Santa Claus rallies. So let's see if we get that. The other thing that I would like to look at really quickly is the Fed Watch tool. And let's see, I think the odds have increased for the cut versus against the cut. Yeah, these folks are back up here at the 80 percentile now versus the 50-50 that we were at. So Excuse me. The Fed also came out saying, you know, that they're going to drop it for the quantitative tightening December 1st of 25. Moving to quantitative easing, we're going to start seeing the stimulus checks. This is kind of the same setup and bullshit that you walked into in 2019. All right. So for me, this situation on Bitcoin goes kind of south, right? Meaning it's likely not a wave 4 anymore. Once it finds itself over the 0.5 retracement at the 93K level. If it can push above that and hit the 0.618, we should completely write this off as a wave 3 into 4, right? We are likely making an impulsive recovery at that point, and we will have to change this local count into, as much as I hate it, this would be some sort of corrective 3-wave motion to the downside. And we would cover that more when we get to it, but for now, this is what we're looking for. Is that wave 4 in time around to at least reach Thursday around 08 Pacific Standard Time? Now, on the lower time frames, the thing that we're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this. It's like, man, if I had to beat my head against the wall here, which I'm not a big hourly counter or 15-minute or any of that, I really like this divergence, though it is not a hidden bull divergence. It is fucking close enough, right? Like, it's close enough for government work. I'm happy with that. But what I would have to start looking at is what we put on the screen earlier in our stream would be the hope here that this is 1 into 2, and this is just the correction itself here. So this was the lowest point in correction, highest of the third, overlap in 4, and going for 5th. I would have to say that there's 5 in here, 5 in here, and 5 in here for that to remain true. The most common thing to see happen is for this not to be an expanding diagonal, right? So I misclicked. Let's ditch this one and make a new one. We really would like to not see the 5th become larger than the 3rd. That happens if we pass this 1-to-1 extension that is around $90,000. Now that we are above the 0.618 on this, I have to add the 786. It is a common area of rejection that we've seen a lot this year. So I will be looking out for that here around 88,968. If the price action can push up and reach the 1-to-1 for the equivalent of the wave 3 to the wave 5, it's not ruled out. It just changes the probability. Now, if it really starts to smash out past here, you have to consider that you're wrong, right? And we would have to morph this count into something more bullish. It sucks because if you wanted to be a bull and you were trying to say, you know, this was stacking, it sucks because the secondary stacking is larger than the primary counts stacking. So you always want to watch each stacking kind of get smaller than the next one, and you'll often see them do it in kind of like this wedging formation that everybody's trying to shit on and say it's bearish because it's a rising wedge, and then pap, she goes for it, okay? Excuse me. And for example, while we're on the topic, that is exactly what you saw that started your primary count for Solana early this season. Where in the fuck is Solana at today? Granddad needs to put his glasses on. I can't see shit. All right, where are you? Here we go. Weekly. So on the lows on Solana, you will see that wedging 1-2 possible scenario that we talked about, where everybody's like, what the fuck is this? It's going to die. And then bang, right? So that's a true 1-2 stacking in my opinion. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't want to skip today. I hope you guys appreciate even a sick dude showing up. But that's the best I got. So let's be watching for this leading diagonal idea here on Bitcoin. Though they are rare, this would lead this into being 5 waves within a wave A more than likely. And then we make a B wave, which could drag ass and be a 3-wave motion. A B wave is not something I'm interested in. I would go for the long of the C leg, though, because I do think that would be a really good 3-swing strategy trade. I think it would be amazing. And then we could even take a short, right? So the two good trades that the trader is watching is a long here and a short here, right? So we have two trades coming up. This one will be very predictable because it will get everybody excited. You will see 5 waves come up. They'll be shitting themselves, and then we'll get a harsh reaction. We'll also be able to play our larger extensions on this and look for the hidden bear divergence with the possible prior degree wave 2 that we're talking about. So that will be something to add to this. The next thing is that the short to the downside would also be mathematically really easy to handle because you would look for an extension from a 0 to a 3 to a possible projected 4, which gives you, oopsie, let me fix this, son of a mother. You just click on anything on this fucking screen, too much shit. So you get a 5 down to the 618, more than likely. That would at that point in time do what? It would finish our yellow degree, wave 3. And then you would get another wave 4, right? This wave 4 would likely be what? Same time and equation as this guy. So at that point in time, you're looking for a wave 4 in yellow that takes around 9 days, 16 hours, right? Now, you can also fuck around with time here as a wave 3, right? So this is, it's loose, but it does work most of the time. So if you go from 0 to 1 to 2, wave 3's like around a 1.618 in time or less. You can see this wave 3 was done before the 1.618, right? So you can see how that's a rough kind of estimate. If you did the same thing again, from 0 to 1 to 2, you can see the problem. Yes, we're not done yet. So I think this is due to the 1-2 stacking and that it does change the descent as price goes along. It kind of lingers it out a little bit here. Excuse me. Mother, if I die on stream, guys, hit me with a big up, right? I got you. All right, so the next thing is continuing to watch how we progress here and if this becomes a local wave 4. And the thing to really remember is because of the stacking, you're ultimately waiting for that low. Whether this is an A or a 1 or a fucking C to the downside, it doesn't matter. We're looking for a 5-wave structure to finish in that scenario. Okay? Excuse me. The next thing that we're going to talk about, let me go make sure we don't miss anything in the chat, dude. Thank you for all the likes, guys. I can't even explain to you how thankful I am for them. 10 likes is big deal for me, so thank you. All right, let's see what else we got here in the chats, guys. We had a couple people come in since I started bullshitting. Nameless wanted Zcash. I got that. All right, got QNT. All right, now I'm caught back up. What is up, Jamie Greenfield? How are you? Nameless is in a short. Let me write this down so when we look, my friend, from 610, and you're looking for 400 to 380 as a TP area. Nameless, what are you running for a stop loss on that short, friend? Might I ask? What is up, Camilla? Are you ready for us to get to the FARTBOY chats? I saw that we had a couple other FARTBOYers in here. Did any new FARTBOY fans come in since we started the chat, my dudes? Anybody? I know there's got to be a couple of you in here because the price action is fucking hot right now on it. All right, so let's keep going here in the chats. I always hate the live streams because we don't get to talk back and forth. That's like my biggest complaint about YouTube live streams. So that's why I love the Discord. I get to actually hear you guys' opinions and hear what you have to say back in real time versus waiting on this silly little chat. You know what I mean? But I appreciate it so much that we even get to chat. So, all right, bop. Jamie says America. Hell yeah. What was that fucking movie called about where they were like, America, fuck yeah, here to save the motherfucking day, yeah. You remember that? Then you had FARTCOIN. FARTCOIN is coming in for Craig. How are you, Craig? Where are you from, buddy? Have we chatted much before? I don't remember seeing your name. Let me write it down, sir. Craig X. Sick. Got it. All right. Thank you, Addie. It is hard to continue to talk and stream when you feel so sick, right? Like my whole body hurts. My joints hurt. I really got hit hard this go round. I will get hold of you if I need a nurse. Thank you. Right now, I'm just going to push through. I think a little bit of tea, keep the body moving. It'll leave me alone. All right. Camilla says, yeah, I was thinking it looks a lot like 5 Up. Good job seeing that. I did post on Twitter, Camilla, our 5 Up there on FARTBOY. I'm going to do FARTBOY after the request that we have so far because no one's asked for it yet, I don't think. Let me go see if Jamie was asking for it when we did. Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie. You asked for XLM and Link. Let me write those down. I deeply apologize. I didn't see those charts. Guys, if I ever miss one of your charts, let me know so I don't screw you. All right, so no one's requested FARTBOY yet, so I'll write it down now. All right, so then we'll do FARTBOY after that. All right. Team America, that was it. Dude, way to go. Team America was the shit. That movie was hilarious. All right, I got FARTBOY. Our FARTCOIN is what Craig asked for, and you also wanted PENGU. So let me write that in there. Dude, I am like, we got so many chart requests popping off already. Thank you, guys. All right, let me get this fixed on my end. All right, let's go do Ethereum. Ethereum, unfortunately, is much more choppy. And I would like to stay zoomed out on it, right? The problem that I run into on this is that I really, really, truly wanted this to be the start of something impulsive. Yes, as you can see, we've already given this overlap. So that's one infraction towards it being an impulsive motion towards the upside like this. The second infraction would be that if it were a diagonal, this wave 4 is much bigger than this little fella right here. This little dude is not compared to this, right? This is way too big to be its friend. Yes, it does have, right? It does have hidden bull divergence on the pivots, meaning a deeper RSI reset than a price action reset, which is good. But the problem in Elliott wave is that usually if this was a low and we started our count from here, we want to see a valid 5-wave motion up and then this correction that we're seeing now. Instead, we got this look, right? Because of that, it does change things up a little bit for me. It makes it hard to be bullish unless we can start to see kind of a 4-hour hourly recovery, right? So if this were to continue to chalk up the way it is, where this is only a 3-wave motion up, my largest fear is that these are our pivots and that this is rounding and arcing to the downside before displacement, right? Meaning that in time it takes the exterior liquidity and rolls into the interior liquidity to fill this void in time, in price, excuse me. So let's delete everything and just zoom in here on Ethereum. In our last stream in the community, people were saying this was a bullish recovery, right? And we covered in that stream why it wouldn't be. But we're going to show it here really quickly, just because I think it's important to understand corrections and what they do to... Son of a bitch. Oh, I'm making fucking marks everywhere. All right. Sorry, I'm piss poor at editing myself. If you don't like it, I might not be the person for you. So you can see how this turns into a 1-to-1 motion to the upside, or a 3-wave motion that terminates at the 1 through 1.382, meaning that it was just a corrective motion to the upside. The next thing that we pointed out that day in the community stream was between this pivot and this pivot, you can see the RSI is cranked the fuck up compared to back here. This is a hidden bear divergence, with a 3-wave motion, right? And it terminates between the 1 through 1.236. Now, the next thing I want to bring up about that being between the 1 through 1.236 is when we zoomed in on this again. Enhance. I feel like one of those like CIA operatives in here just enhancing my shit. To me, in my blind eye, this appears to be 3 up and 3 down and 3 up, right? So a WXY, more than likely 333 style pattern, which the Y leg typically terminates between the 1 through 1.236. So, again, when we go down here, let's start to talk about price action and what we might have here. Now, I hate to say it, but because of this expansive leg that's starting to come out of here, a large part of me wants to say this is starting to get the look, right? So starting to get the look of the 1s and 2s and 1s and 2s, right? So if this is true, we can work on invalidation from here. Meaning, if this was the last 1 and 2 in that cycle, you can see that we have broken 1.382. The next thing that I want to point out to you as a trader is how well you're respecting these extensions, right? This is the gateway drug. You faced minimal rejection, but had great interactions. Come up to the 1 line, back test it, up to the 0.236, retest it after resistance at the 1.382. Add your 1.618 into this equation, put a little bit of channels on this mother, and we may just be able to work with something, right? And by that I mean a wave 4 entry for possible a leverage entry, right? In my opinion, a wave 4 on something like this, I can't tell you to trade, right? I can't give you financial advice. That'd be asinine. Excuse me. But a wave 4 trader here would look for a retracement from the low to the high, right? Let's just for now LARP around 2009.86. And then they would look for a wave 4 that alternates structure, right? So this was scary and steep and oh fuck. That wave 4 will likely go bada bang, bada boom, bada boom. Back test the base channel for an amazing 3-wave entry with hidden bull divergence between this point and this point, right? It will be beautiful. It will be beautiful. This is your wave 2 low, RSI. You're going to look for a 3-wave motion and pulls it back. Man, sorry, my voice is cracking. 3-wave motion that pulls it back and gives hidden bull divergence when this does, and we'll play it for that wave 5, right? And then we're hoping at that point, mathematically, even though this one's bigger, and I fucking hate having to admit it, at that point, then you would finally validate at least a 1.618 for the next leg. Then we validate the next leg. And this is how we get, you know, the would-be wave 3 into 4, wave 3 into 4, wave 3 into 4, and a final wave 5. The mathematics of that can be plotted out better as we go, but that's why in Elliott wave you have chopping and displacing, chopping, displacing, chopping, displacing, chopping, displacing, final move. Yes? All right. That's Ethereum. Does anybody have any questions so far at all over Ethereum or over Bitcoin? I think those are the two biggest charts that you have to understand moving forward, right? These are the kings of the game. So if they're not acting accordingly, we can't expect alt season to just come out of thin air. We need liquidity. So we need money to flow into this game in the form of Bitcoin and Ethereum. They need to impress, right? As soon as that starts to happen again, then your altcoins get more attention also, right? But it's just like the parties when you were in high school. Or I don't know who you were in high school, but I was a fucking nerd, right? So no one wanted to hang out with me. So I got invited to the parties late as shit, but you guys were probably the cool kids. So you were at the party way before me. Everything was going great for you. And by the time I got there, the cops were showing up. The nerds were coming in, right? This is no different. So at this party, Bitcoin is the king of the show, right? It's going to the party first. It's gonna celebrate. Everybody's gonna know Bitcoin's at the party. He's the beautiful quarterback or cheerleader everybody thought was hot. And then boom, your friends start to come in. The people of the Coinbase top 50, boom, boom, boom. They're all dropping in, boom, boom, boom. And then out of nowhere, some little nerdy dude shows up and blows everybody's socks off, right? So shit like that can happen. But first, let's see that liquidity start to inflow back in this game. Now, I think that will happen if and when we invalidate what would be our larger time frame scenario play for Bitcoin. Excuse me. If at any time Bitcoin is to invalidate this play, which means take out the invalidation of a 0.618, and you should even start to think, ooh, something stinks if we start to cleanly break 93K, right? You start smashing out 93K, wave 4 start to go off the table. The reason why is because that's a retracement pulled from golden circle degree wave 2, that high, to the golden circle degree wave 3 low. We are looking for a 3-wave motion to complete golden circle degree wave 4 before a final press down to finish a larger degree wave 3, right? And then we go for another possible 4. Wave 4s like to do what, gang? They like to investigate prior degree wave 4. This is prior degrees wave 4 low, right? Why wouldn't we go investigate that? Test that shit out. See what's up. Look, you even have internal fair value gap in the zone, right? So you have reasons for liquidity to dip that tip. Maybe even a little pop right in the zone. But 93K with bodies on this 4 hour, we're not accepting it, right? We really don't want to see that, or we have to get more bullish. You know what I mean? So the next thing that I would like to cover why we're here on Bitcoin as a trader, right? So the thing to remember after a diagonal is the retracement that typically occurs after. And I keep using the word typical because it has to do with probability. So let's say we top out here around the 786. Maybe we go a little bit more. I'm only speculating. At that point, you're looking for that 786 retracement that's typical after a diagonal. I think the 702 could be completely acceptable, but we could also look into this as a golden pocket retracement. But what typically happens after a diagonal is a nice, good chopping 3-wave motion. You can see an expansion here of a B, which really would mess up minds. So be open to that also. That's funny, be open to that. It's a good Elliott wave joke. I really, really do think that we have to be aware of all these little scenarios, right? So even though this micro has so many options, right? But we won't know what options are unlocked until we see this fall. So as a trader, getting involved in leverage here is not the smartest choice, right? You're kind of risking a lot because your invalidation is too high as a short, right? And I'm definitely not just trying to fucking nitpick and take a long out of nowhere. So what I would rather do is see this 3-wave motion for a long to get in the game on Bitcoin. And the nice thing here is you're a 3 to 5x trader. You're playing it safe, you know, even a 3x. That's a 10% move on a 3x, guys. That's a 30% move, right? That's a 3x. That's all you need, baby. That'll get you plenty wet. You are not going to need to be in here. You don't need to risk it all to make it. I promise. Slow and steady wins the race in this game. Risking it all, constantly just over leveraging, over positioning yourself. And by that, I mean when you go to this buy or sell button on whatever exchange you're using, the position size that you're taking drastically affects your portfolio outcome. I promise you. If you are over positioned, running cross margin and being full degen, when the pain comes, it will be just glorious. I promise. It will be something that you'll write your friends about. But if you follow the rules in this game You look for this 3 swing strategy, this ABC, this 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. This is bread and butter. This is a moneymaker. Yes? You wait, you be patient, and you strike. You sit in the dark at the end of the hallway, and you nab them when they don't see it coming. You don't try to jump in when everybody else is getting excited as shit. Makes no sense. You know what I mean? Stay patient. All right. That was Ethereum. That was Bitcoin. Let's keep it going. The next thing we're going to talk about will be Solana for Andy. Hope you're still here, Andy. Let me know if you're still in the house. B said, I'm getting Discord bullish because I think people are finally seeing your TA. That's funny. I'm always excited that you guys are here. Thank you for coming. Let's move into Solana. Yeah, let your friends know about the stream if you guys do enjoy it, if it's good for you. Let your friends know. I love hanging out with people. I love talking charts. I really, really mean that. Even to my own detriment, as you can see. All right. So I have not been charting this at all. So I think the best thing that I could do is stay on a daily for right now. Because my largest area of concern on this chart comes from this being possibly a first leg down and only a 3-wave motion up. Now, when we talk, let's go to the weekly really quickly. All right, let's get rid of this. All right, so what I want us to understand on a weekly is 2 things. This chart did make a new all-time high, right? It did achieve its goals, right? No one can complain about that, Andy. This looks good, right? It was a great chart. It was a great time. Now, as someone counting, this is something we looked at earlier in our stream, was that stacking likes to occur in a wedging nature. Chip chopping, right? You can even see kind of like an arcing leading to displacement. And then a small check for a correction, a small check for a correction, right? And then you get what? This possible final motion of 5 waves. And that's what scares me the most here. The reason why is because that possible 5-wave motion comes with this in mind. A divergence, right? And even lower RSI here, right? So you are making a regular bear divergence on the RSI. The next thing I want us to be aware of is the highest oscillation and highest volume typically comes within wave 3. And I want to show you 2 indicators really quickly where we would also note those divergences. I want you to stick to free indicators. I don't think anybody needs an indicator that costs money. My personal opinion, get yourself the Elliott wave oscillator if you're learning how to count. This by Lazy Bear, so all the credit goes to that legend. You can see this divergence here on our Elliott wave oscillator. Now, if you're not one who wants to deal with the oscillator, we can also roll into the MACD histogram divergence that you would have also seen at the same time. Excuse me, guys. Don't need those silly fucking lines. And you would have also noticed your same divergence coming in here. What's nice is I've noticed that the Elliott wave oscillator tends to nail the divergences better than the MACD histogram, right? And then the next one that you could have used is the Fu Manchu cipher. Where is it? It's free. You can get Market Cipher. They don't fucking pay me, so I'm not going to go on about someone who doesn't do anything, right? So, but you could also get the Fu Manchu one. Where is that guy? Let me find it. Cipher. I think you have to put the whole thing in now. It used to be on here as Fu Manchu. Here we go. excuse me, you could have used your Fu Manchu. Same concept here would have been a momentum divergence on your blue waves or your momentum. You could have also seen it here on your red line, which is your RSI. You have a regular divergence, right? Your money flow peaks here, right? My best guess as to why you saw the money flow peak there was because they were trying to sell that fifth wave. Does that make sense? So I think they were pumping the volume into the market there to really sell people on this possible fifth wave to the upside. Now, because of how three wave-ish this was, and how we are respecting the center line of the channel after 3 points of attachment, which I put as 1, 2, and final third. After that, we see reactions at midline. This is great. It does bias me, though, to this zone, right? So 81. Now, if the gateway drug fails at 125.79, we're going to be biased towards that 81, or at least to lose the lows of 94, right? Because that's the most common style of correction. Now, if that happens, happy days, and it holds the base channel. If it does not hold the base channel, dudes, we're looking for like a much steeper, scarier interaction, yes? So we like get a much deeper C. At that point, I do think you're in deep value land, right? You would get me involved for sure. But right now, because of the weekly, I'm not involved, right? So let's delete everything and let's go talk about simple lower time frames and how they have to reverse to prove itself, right? So what you would have to see is an Elliott wave. This would have to be some sort of either 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking, or 1, 2, and now we're going into a wave 3. I am not much of a fan for going below the hourly. What we could do here is say, if this is bullshitty as hell, that's a wave 1 into 2. You would have to say that this is again a wave 1, and this is 3 down, maybe 3 up, 5 down into a 2. So just to help our eyes, 1, 2, I would hate to see this be 3 because it overlaps 4 into 1. And then you'd have to say that was 5. You could tweak it. Does that overlap 4, 5? No. All right. What if this is the only problem? Put this back. If this wave 1, 2, 3, 4 with no overlap, and 5, you could say yes, right? This is wave 1 into 2, and wave 1 into 2, and now you're working on 3s into 4s and 3s into 4s, and that same chopping that I believe we covered earlier in the stream on Ethereum. Yes, same concept, guys. So this is what a trader should be looking for, excuse me, on Ethereum or Solana. So no different, right? Needs to break this and needs to go for validation, right? So validation on a scenario like this would be what I can see with my blind eye as the possible innermost 1 into 2, because without overlap, that is. Excuse me. Because of this chop, boop, beep, I'm waiting for a boop, beep right here and another hit. Yes? All right. Because I think this might be a micro 1 into 2. So a trader really wants to let this happen, a small range and another high, right? And that's exactly what I would be looking for, Andy, if I were to be looking for this to start progressing as a trade idea, right? Because I need my innermost stacking to come to a mathematical fruition first, meaning it reaches 1.618, pulls back in a 4 and goes for a 5, right? And the 5 on average is going to be about a 2.236, right? Nothing too perfect. It's just a guess on the area of interest. Yes? So if you were to see this chain of events play out, we would look for 5, 4 likes to typically fall back 2 places. It's a rough estimate. Again, bullshit, but rough. If you were checking math on that, you would say this. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe you dip the tip to here, but I would like to see you hold this. All right, let's delete that. And then again, you would have a larger degree, 1 into 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And after that, you would look for correction, right? So this is why a lot of times, even though it sucks sitting through this, the plan is to, you know, let the bigger waves happen, maybe take an entry, right? Let the next wave up happen, maybe take another entry. Let the final leg up happen and get the fuck out and take the bigger entry, right? When we come back for all this displacement, right? So that's Solana. That's my views on that. Let me know, Andy, if that works for you. And if you have any questions at all. All right, let's keep this party going. The next one is DMTR. This is not one that we look at often. Here we go, DMTR. USDT. I think that's what you have to use, yeah. All right, here we go. Demetria. Sounds like a venereal disease. Ifs and buts were candies and nuts. Motherfucker. Alright, let's make sure we don't have anything on here. Let's turn this off. From a classical standpoint of analysis, this is a big watch out. We need to get back above the weekly 50 bull control zone of the RSI and the EMA. Until that happens, I would stay really hesitant. Another reason why it would bring me hesitation is that wick that occurred on this big day really messes up counts, right? Because in Elliott wave, we really don't like to see a final wave occur with truncation. We like to see a final wave occur with a new low. Though you may get me to be able to say, hey, maybe just this time, but we still have to validate a low from here on the lower time frames, right? What I kind of don't like about this chart is the possibility that this was a leg up and this correction where we expand in 3 makes it liable to be that this was all corrective. So this guy. And then at some point, this coin could see a partner leg. But the issue with that is we can't pick out a low because of the very irregular correction, right? But at some point, you would look for 1 through 1.382 if you began to form a daily pivot. The reason why you're not rushed to get in is because even if you had to wait, let's say, till the gateway drug, the gains are still phenomenal, right? 200%, 700%, right? It's really laughable to force yourself into this entry when you don't need to. All right, so if you look at this, it looks very 3 waves up. Let's look at volume. Didn't quite end on the peak of volume, but I would say that's a hell of an oscillation in volume for a 3-wave motion. So let's also check our expanded B retracement fibs on this one from a high to a low, because it looks like it might have hit. Nope, it didn't. I thought it hit 1.618 for sure. But since it doesn't hit the 1.618 expansion of a B wave template, we have to side with this as a correction for now. So I would use my extensions from high to low to high of the 3-wave expansion. Eventually we will get the tip perfect. There we go. And we're sitting our ass on a 1.618. Maybe that's why you saw a truncated 5th. Maybe we need to be more bullish on DMTR or whatever this is. So what I would do is, as a trader, put a base channel. If I'm a spot trader, I'm picking that low as my invalidation point. And I'm waiting to see, do we get center line reactions around that gateway drug fib that we're talking about. And what I would really, really want to see as a trader would be a 5-wave motion with displacement that gets everybody excited, right? And then they're like, oh my God, we're going to hold the center line. And then it's like, no, you're not. Pa-pa. And this would be my moment where I would enter the game pretty heavy. This isn't drawn to scale. This is just whipped on here really quickly. But now let's go ahead and talk on the daily about this bias, and does it continue to be the way that we want to go. All right, so as a trader, then you have to form an invalidation for your spot holding or your count or whatever you want to call this, right? Obviously, I can't give you financial advice, but that's where I think for now you have to place it. Let's look at a fib retracement to see what level held from low to high here for DMTR. Boom. Golden pocket, beautiful. I bet you have a divergence here. Look at that on your RSI. So this is a typical thing, son of a bitch, that you will see in the charts, right? So you'll come down, 618, bounce, 702, new highs. Yes? I believe in this pattern even more so when there's a divergence on RSI, right? I would love to see a divergence on volume. Whammy! We have divergence on volume. Highest sell volume, lower sell volume. My dudes, good call to you. Jabray for the DMTR chart. Thank you. I might have to get involved on something here. I'm going to likely have to run this as my local invalidation, though, to just tighten up my risk because I would be trying to get involved. Let's look here on a 4-hour. Delete some of our Bob Rossi marks because that shit is annoying. All right, so what do we need to see for this to come to fruition, to be a move to the upside, and when would I buy? We've validated a wave 3. We have high volume in it. We have high oscillation, little rabbit ears in the overcooked area. So we would be looking for a pullback, yes? This chart's so good I had to hit the latte twice. All right. Delete this. She's not very helpful to us anymore. Let's go to a wave 4 retracement style template. Holding the 382. Here's what I don't like. No local hidden bull divergence yet. Between the 2 and the 4, we're still up really high. Let's check time, because if it's met time, you might get me to bite for a wave 4 play. This will be a very easy invalidation. We're past a 1-to-1. I like it. Excuse me. What I would do as a trader is look for wave 4 invalidation to hold, local low, put acceleration on this, go for a 5 play. If I'm trading DMTR on this, it's likely on leverage. Again, I can't give you financial advice because that would be illegal. I would look for a 0.618 play on this. I would want to be aware of the 0.382 sooner, just in case. That's an early resistance, aka the old high, as an area to TP or protect your position. But you could use local invalidation here. This isn't a bad R to R. They might sweep you. That's a pretty good one. Let's put it up a little bit. That's a big R to R6. I would say keep it more realistic and shoot for that 3R setup as a logical TP. A spot trader's paradise right here is a minimum 12% gain. Even a 1 or a 2x leverage, excuse me, 2 or 3 would be not horrendous. Yeah, we have local bear div coming in the tops of the possible peaks of the 3. Let's look at that Elliott wave oscillator we were on about and see how she operated. Whammy! So what I would look for is that this is the peak of a wave 3, right? Big volume, big oscillations, big oscillations. I would look for the Elliott wave oscillator to flip back to green and make a smaller hill and make a smaller RSI, and to likely not have as high of a volume to finish the 5th, right? So what you're looking for is this 5th wave to be 1 into 2, 3 into 4, and 5 if you get fucking lucky. But that's a good position to go after. The main reason why is because that's an hourly play that I do think after which we can roll into a 4-hour long position. This will all be in the stream for your viewing pleasure later. And if I'm wrong, you can be like, hey, you were wrong. And I'll be like, cool. Not every trade works out. So 5 waves up, we would look for the 3 wave back as an area of entry with hard invalidation. I would likely take this if my corrective extensions pan out to the downside to give me the zone of entry that is confluent with an area of retracement, right? So my extensions and retracement supports really need to line up for this one to work out. But that could be a really beautiful play on low leverage or spot. You really don't need to sell the farm or go 20x. It would just be asinine, so don't do that. All right, let's move on from DMTR. Where is my pen? Ugh, don't you hate when you lose your pen in your own office, right in front of your face? All right. The next chart we have to do or get to do is time-based extensions for B. We've covered a little bit of those in the stream, but let's cover a really basic one that I think everybody should have on their chart. Yes, I'm not going to delete this chart just yet. Woo, Rocket Man! I think this chart is about to put on a show. I didn't mean to show this to you, so don't worry about it. All right, so this is Education Central down here. So anytime in Elliott wave that we're watching for a motion towards the upside B, this is for you, my dude, and you get 5 waves up, right? We're going to have a couple different ways we can apply the time fibs to this scenario, right? So this is a big educational take-home point, in my opinion. If you're looking for wave 1 into 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this wasn't drawn to scale, so it won't be beautiful. This is the first round through, and we're going to do our best. But let's validate some structures in Elliott wave looking up from 0 to 1 to 2. We want a minimum of 1.618. Whammy, we get that. And a wave 5 to around an estimated 2.236. Boom, we get that. Now, if this 5-wave structure completes and you're telling yourself, how do I get involved after a 5-wave structure? Not only am I looking for a 3-wave retracement, but I'm also looking for a minimum in time. Minimum. That's like trying to spell cinnamon. You're looking for a minimum in time of 0.382 of that structure, right? So if it takes 100 days, you're looking for 0.382 or 38.2 days time in retracement. So that means that this correction, if it pushes down and you're like, oh my God, the low is in, Billy, and it's before the 382, it's likely not. That was the first leg in correction, yes? And then you'll get this next leg in correction. Now, a wave 2 in a corrective structure, God, it won't let me slide to the side. A wave 2 likes to happen around this time span, 1 to 1.618. It doesn't like to go past the 2 in time. If that happens, instead of being able to label this as a 1 into 2, you would have to morph your count into an ABC. That would be because the correction took past the 2 in time, making it highly probable to be a B wave versus a wave 2, right? Now, the other beauties of what we just draw here, it gives you many learning opportunities also. So you could also learn, how do I put my wave 4 retracements onto any setup when I'm looking for a wave 4 support? Boom, just like that, from low 2, high of 3, pulls back for 4, 0.236 through 0.5. Typically doesn't lose the 0.5, right? Then you ask yourself, wow, How would I find a wave 2, sir? From the lows to the highs, look for the golden pocket. It's the most common area. Why do you think it's called the freaking golden pocket, man? Right? And then you could add to that your bearish probability shift point and your oh shit point. Where is the oh shit point today? Right? So these things are going to let you know how things are going. Again, you could even use an extension to try to predict your wave 5 from 0 to 3 to 4. That typically comes in around yield 0.618, right? Extended fifths in this scenario, extended fifths can push as high as 1.618. They often don't break that though and often stop by the 1.382. You have basic channeling concepts that you could be watching for on this move. The first one would be a base channel breakout strategy. Wave 4 backtest entry. You could put an acceleration channel, lows of 2, lows of 4s, highs of 3s. Looking for reactions at the center line as an acceleration channel resistance. Or an extended fifth to the one line, top of channel. If it breaks out of acceleration channel, that's an extended fifth, right? That's fucking beautiful. That's glorious. All right, so we covered everything we needed to do for time-based stuff. Let's keep the party going. Our next chart is going to be Zcash for Nameless. Hope you are still here. Let me know if you're in the house, Nameless, and we will roll into that one. All right. Sorry, I need another sip of latte here. I'm running on fumes. Let me get another drink. Man, I don't feel good. But we've been going for 20 minutes and we're going to finish this thing. All right, so Zcash. This for Nameless. You had a short at 610. I hope you protected it. You were looking for TP around 400 to 380. All right, so this is kind of not perfect anymore. Let's get rid of this. We've been drawing all kinds of shit all over this thing. Let's talk about why we were short biased and where I would like to move my invalidation to now. What's up, Nameless? Thanks for sticking around, dude. It means a lot. And thank you to all of you for sticking around, for being here today. It means a lot. Excuse me. So, because of the depth that this retracement made and this retracement made without taking the highs, I do think at a certain point we will come back for the bullish order flow left in these highs. And I think that because this was a three-wave motion down, it really sets us up for, at some point, a really good long on Zcash. I would hate to have to say, right, that this is a triangle. I really don't like triangles. Right? I really, really don't like triangles. This would be really compressed, I would say. Let's delete everything so we can just talk. I do think that this is a wave 4. I just think that you have to figure out a way to count it, right? You have to either say this in A, B, C, and W, A, B, C, and X, and an A, B, C, and Y. But then you would need a bullish recovery immediately. A bullish recovery immediately. Here we go. Let's get this WXY on. You could maybe sell me as that, but I would like to really see an hourly recovery, and we're just not making that yet. So far, it looks like just a three-wave motion. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. God, even this looks very three waves. God, I would just hate to have to label it as a triangle being done, but this wouldn't be three waves to the up then. That would need to be one more motion to end a triangle like that. You would have to have remember, triangles are rare, so don't count this as the main. A, B, C. I don't want this to be D. Some part of me wants to say you get a little bit more for a D. because of the way we're counting on the micro. So I would say D gets one more high maybe, and then E is my concern. My main concern for the short here is that we might not get that 400 to 380 level on Zcash, right? Like I really do think I'm going to close my short on the next little pullback. The reason why is because to start an impulse or to start a recovery, it can be in two ways. The first way is a standard recovery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Nothing here looks like that. Right? Everything here is very three-wave-esque, like we just looked at. So what I'm thinking is, if it's not that, and you the other way it could start is a leading diagonal, right? So you can have a leading diagonal which is 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, or it can be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We're so far away from calling a leading diagonal. I really don't even want to try to say that on this. So for me on Zcash, stay patient. The short may continue to pay, but my largest concern is this 4-hour kind of triangle shaped correction, right? So if we just put this on here, excuse me, right? You can see how this is starting to ping ball around in here. The other thing that I would really like to put on it would just be like an idiot box or a channeling technique to just say, just let this thing do what it does, right? You see, look at all these midline reactions. Why take a trade at the midline, right? Just defend your position. This should be a stop loss for you. That's a really bearish candle, right? If you overtake that, dude, they're coming for you, right? And we'll build some sort of sequence of events up. But I do think you're really starting to see this price action coil up. So let's see what happens. My bias is that it's going to make another high, right? It's going to take out this high and this high and this high because of the depth of retracement that it came up to. It took around 90% of the move out, right? So if you come down, you come back up, take out 90%, and you have bullish order flow here, bullish order flow over here. Why would you not make a new high, right? Liquidity standpoint, I really think it will, right? Especially since the very first move off that high is a three-wave motion, right? And then what? Another three-wave motion. Now, maybe that's just an A, and then you get a B, and then you finally get a C. And then at that point, we have a much larger WXY pattern. That's something that I could maybe get behind. But be aware that the Y doesn't have to take the lows of W like a C has to take the lows of A as the most probable scenario. So Zcash might fuck you if you don't pay attention to that one. All right, what else do we got today? I hope that's helpful, Nameless. All right, the next thing we're looking at is QNT for B. I'm going to tell you straight up, I hate this chart. I own it. I've bought it twice. I'm continuing to hold, but I will say from an Elliott wave standpoint, holding is beginning to get very, very hopeful and very hard. Because I'm running out of ways to make this a correction here. Excuse me. Or any sort of kind of high probability count. Instead, I'm just going to keep this as my pivot point. And what I'm hoping for on QNT is I would like to take my validation for my spot holdings now and tell myself, I'm not letting myself lose this low, right? Like I bought once, I bought again. I'm not I'm not buying the dip a third time, right? So this is it for me. I would really like to see this leg up start to come to fruition. The reason why is because we had a prior 5-wave structure. Whether you want to argue it that it ends here or it ends here, both I could get behind. But either way, that's a 100% move with a very calculated risk at $67, right? So if I was a betting man, which I think that every trader is, I'm not telling you to enter the game here. I'm just showing a simple risk to reward ratio. That's a 15% stop loss on spot to go for a 1-to-1 motion here. That's a 100% move in spot to risk 15. That's peanuts, right? That's nothing. We'll put it to there because that's the actual 1-to-1 is 84%. So you have a 5.62 risk to reward ratio. That's amazing. So, and that's minimums on quant, right? Is taking out these highs, getting to the 1-to-1. So that would be the very first thing I look at. I do think quant has a bullish narrative. Quant is part of the ISO 2022 banking standard that is really going to help adjust the standards of banking and also help to adjust the income involved in banking because it is a business, right? So for the banks to continue to be profitable, using cryptocurrency will really help reduce the fees. It will really help reduce not only the fees for your consumer, but also internal fees within their structure, and the amount of money that needs to be held on standby for lending, and to cover your ass for the money that you have in the bank. So crypto could change the game for this a lot. ISO 2022 listed QNT as one of these. It could be a big mover on narrative and mathematics, right? So for now, we're going to keep an invalidation around $67 for these spot holdings. The first target's 145 with a very hopeful $200. We can talk more down the road about how this could be a bigger move to the upside. We'll go to the weekly just to cover this really quick. As much as I hate it, guys. Excuse me. I have to be open to sticking to that this is a possible recovery that in time gives this guy a partner leg, right? So as much as I don't like it, this chart has a possible 5-wave motion up followed by a large correction, right? You're having amazing reactions at 0.618, 0.382. Look at them, bop, 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 bop. This is good shit. Now what we're going to look for is for this to move to the upside. Sorry, the chat just caught my eye. That's hilarious. That was like a red alert message right there, all caps. That's like when my wife doesn't want me to forget milk at the store or something. You just get text, milk, all caps, buy milk. All right, so if we put a base channel on this guy here, you can see that we are gaining what? Really good centerline reactions after 3 points of contact, right? So low to high, great centerline reactions after. Hypercritical to understand. That makes invalidation here, like we've already talked about, and we're looking for partner legs in this sequence, right? Because of how horrendous this correction is, and how long it takes to get something out of here that looks like a 5-wave move, and so that I don't have to do a bunch of 1-2 stacking, I have to form invalidation and only try to count this move. And what I'm hoping for is some sort of 5-wave motion up that gets this to the 1 through 1.382 zone. Right? So this is a really good gain on the table potentially for QNT because we're risking, wherever the hell that went to, we're risking way down there. No. We're risking around that 15% like we talked about to go up here and as a spot trader shoot for 253 to 346 to 460%, right? That gives you a target area, price action wise, of 281 as the first resistance, 423 as the second resistance, and 545 as the third resistance. So the thing is, this could be a decent play as long as you have invalidation. Please don't be like, okay, shit's not going my way, moving stop loss. Don't do it. Because then you're going to move it again. And you're going to be wrong again. Then you're going to move it again. You're going to be wrong again. And now you're down fucking 50% and you're like, oh my God, something's wrong. And now you sell. And then it finally flips, right? So please use validation and invalidation in these plays. Okay, guys? The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be yield FARTCOIN for Craig X. We got Craig X still in his album, boys. Are you here? Or did you leave? Did you sell out, Craig X? Or did you diamond hands this mother? Where you at, Craig? Come on. It's like, reminds me of the movie Friday. All right, let's go cover yield FARTCOIN. I want you to understand what's happening here on FARTBOY is amazing, and we'll get right back to this. I'm surprised more people aren't excited about FARTBOY. Nobody's asking about FARTBOY today. It's just, you guys go silent when the shit starts looking good on me. Where the fuck? Here you are, FARTCOIN. Oh my God. Its name alone should bring it into the millions. Where the fuck is the chart? There she is. Excuse me. So, my dudes, what is this? What is that shape, my dudes? Bull flag, yes? Bull flag breakout. Technical target, measure your pull, clone your pull, stick it right here where the breakout happens, my dude, from the top of the flag. That's your technical target, yes? That should be your minimum technical target. The reason I say that is because what's going to happen here on an hourly? You're going to have at that point, get rid of this, made a retracement that is at least past the 786. Meaning what? Meaning we go for the fucking highs, right? And the expansion box. So I would say to see FARTCOIN reach 35 to 38 is likely on the table. We're past the 786. Your technical target of this is going to be the 888 or 90% retracement, right? They come in confluence with each other. That's an internal fair value gap left behind in price. But you can see that each one of these highs, that's bullish order flow. It's likely going to come up, take out the 90% level, fall back to a 618, and then sweep the highs. Yes? So I would say that's the dance that I look for here. Let's get, because we can even see this as a valid reversal in 1-2 stacking if the secondary stacking is slightly smaller. Right? We really don't want to see it get excessively bigger. So we would like to see resistance here at the 1-to-1. Maybe not make our technical target. Excuse me. So that we can see this as a 1-2, right? And a great opportunity. Now let's zoom out again and see, does the 4-hour support this idea? Let's delete everything. Man, we're talking in absolute reverse. This is what happens when you're sick. You just start fucking yammering. All right. How would you make this bullshit true? I do like, you didn't get it. Never mind. I was going to say, you got basically an exaggerated divergence because the two values are nearly identical. This one's 2256 and 2310. So you did make a lower low here, along with price action, so we can't call that a divergence. Often when a low is taken in a three-wave nature, it's not a sustainable low. So that would be my largest concern, is that at some point you do come back for this. Let's zoom out again, because I haven't looked at this in fucking ages, dude. All right, let's see, can we make this math make sense? Sorry, I have all the kids home this week. It's holidays, and the house is very loud. So I don't like that your price action got below your 786 with closures. I do like that you have a daily regular bull divergence on the RSI. So as a speculative spot buyer, that's a really good thing to see here. But we do need, again, a valid reversal. I would say for the look in Elliott wave, I really like this, like chopping and separate and chopping. But I'm not completely sold that we don't get a little more separation, right? That's my only concern. Locally, we talked about the low time frames and how they could reverse. Excuse me. But you're already starting to really heat up that RSI and make hidden bear divergence with last pivot already. So something to be aware of there. All right. So for now, I'm not super bullish until we get confirmation on the lower time frames. Let me get a parallel channel here for this correction. The other thing that, well, did this sweep to low? The other thing that I like is that it did take the prior low. Now, let's check time here. Son of a bitch. So that's what really matters, is that we're well past the 382. What I don't like is that we're past the 2. What that means is that, like we talked about earlier in the stream, this would likely be a gigantic B wave, right? But for the bulls, who gives a fuck what it is, what you're most concerned with is the leg, a connector, and a partner leg. For a coin like this, I really think that you need to be on linear when we start to talk about those macro targets right here. And the reason I think you need to be on linear, let's delete everything, is so that everything kind of makes more sense to you, right? So you've got to redraw your channel here. This is a macro chart with a very big swing. You will be able to chart it a lot better on linear than log, more than likely, because the math to the upside will make more sense not being on fucking pump version 2000 logarithmic, right? So God, I hate even saying this out loud. The most common thing to see happen here is the 1 through 1.382. It means 280 to 380. I would be watching for resistances around $1.80 and 227 around the last high. And I would handle that when I got there. Now, the thing, Craig, is that when we're looking at this and you're like, look, how much do I put in, bro? Right? You put a hundo in here, you're up 6x. You're up 7x. You're up a 10x, right? So your hundo's 1,000, right? Like 10x. I want you to understand that just because the chart says it can happen doesn't mean it will happen. And there's always going to be alternative counts. And a lot of times, man, the risk outweighs the reward. But if I put a hundo in something and it gives me a 10x, that was 100 that I was willing to lose at my invalidation, right? So for me, as a trader, you've got to form an invalidation point, right? I think you need to mitigate risk locally, right? So for me, if I'm entering this on spot, I'm looking for the 4 hour to enter and run whatever this is up. Yes, it would likely be some sort of 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 stacking, and would likely get bullish on you from there, right? So we talked about a bull flag, a breakout technical target. I think we're going to exceed the technical target and sweep this internal fair value gap and the external bullish liquidity on that peak. Okay? I think FARTCOIN could make a decent reversal. But again, please review Bitcoin from earlier in the stream because Bitcoin's movements are going to be hypercritical. And like we talked about in my YouTube that I did, was that during these movements that Bitcoin makes, dominance and the effect on altcoins could be phenomenal, right? We could see great gains in the altcoin sector. Even in this scenario where you're like, oh my God, oh no, the top of them for Bitcoin. Say that is the top end for Bitcoin in an A or a wave 1 or that C that we talked about down, right? In the A or 1, we're looking for a 3-wave retrace or what? Inverse head and shoulders with an ascending neckline and a technical target where all your altcoins go fucking ape shit. Yeah? Now, in the C scenario, completely separate. Something else happens. You get a real valid reversal and a new all-time high, right? That's a better scenario. That's what you are hoping for as a really bullish person in this game. Alrighty. So that was FARTCOIN. Craig, let me know if you have any other questions over that. And you wanted me to look at PENGU. Let's do it. PENGU is not something I've got to look at much. The last time I looked at it, I had to ditch it because it was looking corrective towards the upside. Here was the last time that I owned PENGU. I counted it as an ABC towards the upside, and then it went through a crash after, right? So this was the last time I owned it. ABC, 5 waves within the C. Because of this liquidation low, I'm not really stoked on owning this again. I'm going to switch to a Coinbase chart to see if we get a better view here of the local. So the liquidation wick was much less impressive there. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Ha, ha. That liquidation wick jumped in the cold water. We were expecting a bigger B wave retracement. Never came. So let's delete everything here. If we leave this as a 3-wave motion, this is the problem. It's very hard to call what comes next a high probability entry scenario. Yes, you are past the minimum time in correction for pudgy penguins, being the 382. But nothing that we take kind of swing plays on starts like this. The things that we take swing plays on start like this, and this is where our swing play entry comes in. This fucking curving to the downside is not my favorite look. It often ends in displacement and a new low. Okay? Just gotta be open with you. All right, so now let's go to the micro here for pudgy penguins and see, can it make a valid reversal of any kind, and how would it, right? And how would you know what's happening? What I would do is go to an hourly and be an hourly trader on this, and I would tell myself, likely this has to be a wave 1, and this hideous piece of trash is likely a 2 that ends in 5. I would put a base channel on this. It's either 1 into 2 or A into B, right? You don't really give a shit. You're just trying to get the fucking wheels on the road and get the car moving, right? Don't sit here and nitpick forever. Just get the ball rolling. Get your 3 swing extensions on. Number one thing we're noticing is what, gang? Anybody who's been playing this game with me for a little bit, 3 points of connection. Low, low, high. What do you have after? Amazing centerline reactions. Amazing top line reactions. You have a breakout of a base channel from Kennedy channeling system and Elliott wave. You're breaking a corrective 1.382. You're likely going to hit the 1.618 is the probability because you've also left the base channel. Excuse me. You're looking at it getting acceptance in the internal fair value gap that was left behind in liquidity, right? Hits 50%, chops, breaks it. Takes all the liquidity out of the gap, moves to external liquidity. Moves to external liquidity. Fills what? Fills internal liquidity, sir. Right here. Right? Next area of interest. Boom. This is what you're looking for. In my opinion, you have 2 choices here. A, B, C, or we get this fucking party going. And you're looking at 1, 2, 3, back test a base channel, 4, 5, move into a liquidity, maybe wick and reject at 50%. But what does that mean to you after? Amazing buying opportunity for what? The larger swing that we talked about, right? So you get your look. She's got the look. She's got the look. Na, 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 na. That's the jam, man. That's your swing opportunity. Entry, buying into the displacement left behind for the next series of movements up. As a spot trader, you're interested. Why? Because the initial move's 20%. A 20% return on your investment is phenomenal, especially if you can do it with a reduced risk, right? So if you're taking an entry here with a known invalidation point and you're looking for a 1-to-1, this is an amazing trade setup. And that's how you run Pudgy Penguins, right? You let 5 happen, you buy the 3 in the pullback, and you aim for a 1-to-1. Dude, 20% when you're risking 5 ain't shit. That's nothing, peanuts. It's a low leverage entry, okay? With known invalidation. Come hit up the Discord and you will see we'll nail this. This 3-wave motion, we'll nail it with extensions, retracements, divergences, channels. We're going to have it all on here. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to work out. So, all right, the next thing you wanted me to look at, Craig, let me know if FARTCOIN and PENGU works out for you, my dude. That is everything I got on those. And, dude, come hit us up in the Discord, man. If you think this shit's fun, we do this every single day. I'm always there. I'm always present. And it's not just me, right? The most amazing part of the community is the community itself. The people that make up the community, that massive baseline of knowledge, all working together towards making decent investments. We have technical analysts that work in the indices, technical analysts that work in Forex. We have our very own suite of indicators that are available to you as a member. You're not going to get access to them anywhere else. They're proprietary, all built together. The guy who does it will teach you every aspect of them. Nothing's kept a secret from you. But come on in, see what it's like, my dude. You know what I mean? Once a month, you get also a one-on-one mentored session discussion between you and I for 1 to 1.5 hours is how they usually go. If you bring lots of questions and you keep the flow going, we'll hit 2 hours. But the amount of value for the cost is phenomenal. It's like a Netflix subscription so that you can make massive returns on your investments and do it on your own, right? You can learn how to do it. All right. Because none of this is kept a secret. It's all in books. I will tell you everything. Everything I'm rambling off is in books. All right. So this is a little bit messier than our last chart. Okay, so let's look at what we're looking at here. I'm going to remove everything. This is something that we covered in the Discord yesterday. I think that Jamillionaire, I don't know if she is here currently. Jamie, are you up in his house? She took a play on this. Excuse me. And ended up closing because we were meeting some of these resistances at an area of interest with divergences, which is super understandable, right? This was likely on a lower time frame. Here we go. You can see the divergences start to come in here on the RSI. Overall, our volume's picking up here in what could be either the 3rd or the 5th picking up, but we'll figure out soon. Get rid of some of that. So, I'm dying, but it's okay. Now, if this were to be A, and all of this is B, and then this were C, great. But this 3-wave motion is so fast that it lets me know that I'm likely wrong, right? So, it's in well before the 382, and then it goes back up. So what I have to do here is look for displacement. Let's remove this. and try to come up with some sort of probable count about how this could have reversed. So in Elliott's wave, the wave 3 doesn't have to hit the 1.618, right? It just, we would like to see a displacing wave 3, meaning that wave 3 gets bigger than wave 1 and has a decent move. So we could accept this as a wave 3 and this is a wave 4 and going for wave 5 now. Great, you can do that. That could be one of the counts, one of the less bullish counts, right? So if we do 1 to 3, we call this a flat, and 4. It doesn't change the math much whether you bump it to here or not. You got decent reactions at the 382, validating the set, looking for 618 to 786, which aligns with this 2.236. So if you had been wanting to get involved on XLM, you could still potentially do so if this meets that resistance. And at that point in time, I would say it would likely have a divergence on the RSI, on the oscillator, and what they do a lot is push high volume in the 5th in these fucked up looking ones, right? So this will be kind of like a more extended 5th, and it will end on higher volume, right? So they'll sell this correction to you so that you continue to buy into the 5th and get excited and be like, fuck, I missed out, no! Because the bigger thing is just let the 5th happen. Let's go into this internal fair value gap of liquidity, right? That's the area they're looking to tickle. And then they'll give the 3-wave correction for our entry, right? The more probable higher paying entry will occur on a 4-hour, right? All right, so that is XLM. Let's go look at Chainlink. Man. Let me get something to drink here. I am dying. What's up, Jamie? Oh, thanks for sticking around. At least if I die on the stream, there's a nurse here. Call the authorities. All right. So the next thing we were going to look at was Chainlink. We started talking about this already in the Discord, so this is why we have shit all over the screen. It's the same concept here, right? We can delete everything. You don't care until you get a valid reversal. Why beat your head against the wall and fight fate, right? Why be like, oh my God, maybe, and just keep buying all the maybes? Because eventually your ass is going to get burnt out on buying maybes, I promise. Now, you could potentially run this. God, there's no fucking hidden bull either. What a dirtbag. You could potentially try to say the same bullshit lie here. Some sort of upside movement. The problem comes right here. I hope you all can see it. So whether you want to label this as a high of a 1 or this is a high of a 1, your 4 overlaps them very clearly. What you could say, though, is maybe somehow, some way, you're building a diagonal. Right? That's like we talked about on Bitcoin. Now, I do want you to understand that a lot of times price action will be set up to make reversals to throw us off. There will be things that are just outside of the standard. That way we get caught off. And often these reversals off of a new pivot are built this way. So I think if this is a diagonal, which again, they're low probability, so maybe not. The lowest low of the two is here when we're considering the math of the 3 to 4 ratio, or wave 4 to wave 2 ratio. So if this gives a final 5th, but doesn't break the 1346 and comes for the internal liquidity left over here at the left, you can see that. That would be my area of interest to just say, do we reject, right? This isn't an opportunity to freaking buy it. It's an opportunity to see, do we reject and how the area is handled, and then to buy support, right? Because that would be a structured movement up, looking for 3 on the pullback for a great entry in a swing to the upside, right? So on Chainlink, it's the same as many things that we've covered. We could try to validate these lower time frame reversals, but we really got to be on standby, right? So I'm going to be watching these in the Discord. Thank you for letting me know. I need to actually put some stars by some of these setups because I think some of them are going to have my attention after this because we're going to need to repost them in the Discord. Maybe even Addy could run that for me. But some of these setups, they have decent swings to them. So while I'm waiting to find out, oh shit, Happy, you're here. You only chatted once. You're only like, hey guys, Happy here. What's up? Usually you're like blowing the chat up, man. What's up? Are you feeling sick today? You feeling weak? Let's see. I think we might get this next wave push to the 1-to-1. Excuse me, gang. I am sick as hell. But I am here. Alright, let's keep pushing. If there's fucking 14 people watching, even though I'm sick, I push through. I got 17 likes. You guys mean the world. Let's keep it going. Oh, man, you're swamped with work? That sucks. Tell the boss you need a break. Wink, wink. Sounds like you need 2 more monsters. All right, so this is the moment I think a lot of people have been waiting for is FARTBOY, okay? Excuse me. So when we look at FARTBOY for the possible reversal, what I want us to understand here is the movements that occurred off of the lows and how to mathematically look at those to start to figure out where we're going, right? So if we're building a roadmap, we have a base channel on the move. We break out of the base channel, we back test the base channel, and we break out, okay? Though this move looks like shit, it was a good move, right? It worked out well, back test the base channel, breaks out. Now, the thing that I want you to be aware of is when we're looking for this next area of interest, somebody's cooking lunch and I can smell it. We're looking for the wave 5 to come into an area of interest at the internal fair value gap left behind on the hourly. This is also a mathematical extension from 0 to 3 to 4, looking for the 0.618 to 786. Now, this wave 5 can also get extended and go for the 1 line, which is right here at our next gap of internal fair value gap left behind or liquidity left behind. You should also note that both of the highs prior to the internal fair value gap left behind ended on bullish order flow. Okay, here's another one. Ended on bullish order flow. Only thing next to do is take external liquidity. Do we chop and make another high after that and go for the next log of internal liquidity before making a larger correction to prior degree wave 4 and possibly back test the internal fair value gap and bull flag breakout that we saw back here on the lower time frames? I'm really open to that. The reason why is because what matters most is math, right? We've already seen a 45% movement. I'm thinking we finish it to the 60. That means our next leg could be a 50 to 60% return on our investment, which is huge. So I do think FARTBOY does have the math behind it here, as long as we push up and hold the pullback. This is the moment to get excited, to buy. This is when you buy. This is not when you buy. This is when you be patient and look for divergences. This is when you buy. Okay? Let me see here. We need our volume. You can see volume rising here going into the 5th. Sorry, I've got to text my wife. The kids are like going nuts right down here by the office. All right, so we covered FARTBOY. I don't think I have any other chart requests. Do you guys have any other coins you want me to look at? Do you have any other educational questions? Anything else that you would potentially like to see covered today? Anything. You guys let me know. We'll get it done. Let's put this guy back on here. Great centerline reaction. Let's get a little pop here, baby. God, we're hitting this live on stream. You know what I mean? Bitcoin, live on stream, breaking out, pushing into internal fair value gaps left behind. This is amazing stuff. Look at what you did here. This is really something to pay attention to, guys. You can see price action works its way up to the fair value gap, stops right at it, leaves bullish order flow. Bullish order flow. Rejects from the fair value gap. Hidden divergence comes into play, moves up at 50% level of internal fair value gap. Likely going to come up and take it all. I really have a feeling. I really think we're going to push 90K today in this stream. Thanks, guys, for being here with me. This is a fun moment. Gets me excited. Oh, we got them coming in, boys. We got the tickers. All right, what are we going to look at? HBAR. Hell yeah. HBAR sounds like a wrestling move from when we were kids. See, he snuck up behind him, slapped Jimmy in the HBAR. He couldn't get away. All right, the next one after that is SUI. I am so done with SUI. The next one after that is ADA. Also, these are all from Happy. Don't be an asshole and clog up the chat, Happy. Does anybody else have any other ones besides Happy? All right. Oh, look, a valid person, Jabray. I'm just joking. We like to give Happy shit. He's absolutely a funny dude. The guy is a legend, though. Picks all the bottoms back in the last cycle. Picked all the bottoms. Dude was up average of 10 to 14x across the board. So he knows how to pick them. Jabray would like SUPRA. Is that like the car, the SUPRA? Does this have any ties to that? That was a sick-ass car, dude. When I lived in Japan, everybody wanted to get the SUPRA chips to bring them home to America. That was like the big thing. I'm not super into cars, so I don't know everything about it. But all right, Jamie asked XRP. I know there's a lot, but I like it live, especially with the recent moves. All right, let's put XRP down on the docket. I wish I could get my pen to work today. I need a better pen. I need some fucking G2s. Where's the G2s? Bring me some G2s. Let me get some G2s. Fucking got me in here working with these subpar pens. Come on. All right, XRP is on the list, Jamie. Thank you. All right, that's for Jamie. Let me write that down. Jamie. All right. SUPRA for Jabray. All right, first let's do Happy's list of shit coins, and then we'll be back. All right. So, yeah, you can only help me with a pencil? What fucking help is that? Nobody uses pencils? This ain't the 70s. I remember when mechanical pencils came out. That's how you knew your friends were rich, when they had a mechanical pencil, and all you had was that chewed up ass number 2 that the teacher would loan you. You were like, I gotta be that kid, huh? This sucks. All right, HBAR. So, HBAR we've been tracking in the Discord for valid movements. So far, thank you, I love you. So far, this has been making a valid reversal. What we like about this, let's get rid of our inner counts because we're not so concerned with those. Let's get rid of this son of a bitch. All right. We didn't quite get a hidden bull divergence here, meaning that 4 on price action held higher than 2, but its RSI went deeper than the potential wave 2, which we can see at that time. The potential wave 2 was 40.67 on closure, and on this one was 41.58. So we didn't make a lower low on the RSI, but we came down to tickle the tip. That's good enough for government work. The other thing that we really liked about this was after we put a base channel on the move from 0 to 2 to 1, we see amazing center line reaction, amazing top reaction, amazing top reaction, amazing center line hold as a wave 4. All right, so in the Discord, we said, fuck it, right? You could run this up. Now, the thing that you're looking for is 5 waves within a wave 5, right? So this is what we have to understand on the larger time frame, is that's what we're looking for an acceleration. Now, you had an extended wave 3. We know this because HBAR hit the 2.236 at 0.155. So because of that, mathematical probability says that this is a shallow pullback in a 4, and we're going to make a new high. How we run that math is using the 0.618 extension taken from 0 to 3 to 4 to predict the 618 as our first target or area of interest. Now, if this is to somehow give an extended 5th, they really fucking push up the volume. We see an uptick. You could see as high as the 1 line even. But again, it will be a 5-wave structured movement, okay? Because that's what we're looking for here. HBAR is as easy as that, guys, right? There's not a whole lot for me to cover there for you. The plan is in the Discord. How to handle this leg will all be managed there. This is a 30 to 45% move total. So the next trade entry is the better trade entry. Does that make sense? Right? We're not trying to FOMO into this shit. We're looking for when do we find resistance at these areas of interest, and after which that big pullback will be the area of interest where you enter, right? Prior degree wave 4, breakout and imbalance in the chart. That's when we come back, okay? Does anybody have any questions at all over HBAR? I know that's a lot of shit, but that's HBAR. Happy. All right. SUI. Trying not to cuss, so I won't tell you my opinion of this chart. It's not my favorite, right? So this is a very hard chart for me to call a reversal here yet because the lower time frames aren't giving us, any sort of reversal yet. The other thing that I really don't like is when we put extensions on this. Let me just delete everything so we can talk. When we place extensions eventually. You can see that we get acceptance under a 1-to-1, right? And the next thing that I bet I'm not on log. Nope, I am. Okay. The next thing that we notice is this fucking loss of a base channel, right? My largest concern now is that we're making something more bearish to the downside, right? So my largest concern is that SUI breaks down, right? So I haven't gotten a low time frame reversal vibe yet on this coin, like we're tracking on HBAR, like we're tracking on Ethereum, like we were tracking on Bitcoin. I'm not getting that same vibe here, so I'm not gonna push myself into this one. I'm just gonna stay hands off on SUI right now. And the reason why I stay hands off is because of the inception move being 3 waves, right? I can't say this wave 2 and it just had like a little fucked up wave 4 and then it finished. No, don't do that. You're wrong. You're an idiot, right? It's not 1-2, 1-2 stacking. It's none of that shit. Just stay patient on this one and wait for that hour to 4 hour list. I read list. That made me say it out loud. Happy's fucking list. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not touching SUI. ADA has not tickled my fancy yet. On the higher time frames, it lost our idiot box and rejected from it. So I really don't have much interest in this. I'm just kind of would rather sit on my hands until it proved it to me. Again, sitting on a 1 line. If you could get the lower time frames to prove reversal, maybe you get involved. But right now, man, I think it would be asinine, right? You're merely holding on to the channel in the one line. So yeah, maybe, oh, I bought the bottom, fuck. Ugh. Why not let it prove it to you first? I would say so far on the hourly, nothing's proved it to you yet here. Let's look at it from a mathematical standpoint instead of my subjective bias towards happy. All right, so what I would like to see here, what's up, Apex? I don't know, is there even anybody in the house left that wants FARTBOY besides you, Apex, or no? We covered it a little bit ago, but I'll do it again if everybody wants FARTBOY again. So what you're hoping for is just like the other chart that looked like shit. You're hoping that somehow, some way, this is 1-2 stacking. Whether this tops here or tops here, you can argue that with your friends. I don't give a shit. But what's most critical is that it has to leave a base channel. So put your base channel on. So when you ask me later, is it good? I'm going to be like, did it leave your base channel? And you're going to be like, I don't know. All right. So then add the 1.618. Son of a bitch. 2.236. And what we're looking for is validation, right? So let's get rid of this set for now. And let's look at just our innermost leg, right? If this is... I'm going to say to here for now. If this is your innermost leg, you don't get validation of that set until it gets to here. So what some traders would think might be best is to wait and allow price action to happen, right? So if this is your innermost, wave 1 and wave 2, this might even actually be a little bit left. This might be here because of how fucking hideous that correction is. I don't know. I'm not going to go pick it out on the micro. But these is around the area of interest you're looking for. We have internal fair value gap when we look to the left. That is right in our area of interest. They also ended that gap with bullish order flow, right? So like this, the thing is, I wouldn't mind. This is some sort of micro 4 and a push and a 4 and then the final push and then another 4. Excuse my clicks. And then another final push, right? And that would come from the 1-2 stacking down low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it would just be, you would have to be relying on a standard 1-2 stacking. That's the only way you could get a reversal here. So you need validation. We need to come up to that 45 area on Cardano to start making validation. Again, happy. This is something we can keep updated in the Discord. The lower time frames, it's much easier for me to keep you in the know in the Discord than every fucking other Monday, right? It's the same thing when people ping me on X and be like, oh, this play is invalidated now. Like, great. Come join the Discord. We've already talked about this hours ago. It's just such a pain in the ass to go update people everywhere. And also ethically, I have a much larger obligation to my people than I do to YouTube or fucking Twitter for sure. So the next thing we're gonna look at is SUPRA. I don't know where you want me to chart this one at. I've never even heard of it. I'm guessing it's a crypto pair that's on this exchange. Oh, fuck. All right, so the chart's horrible. We'll start there. Is this the oldest chart, do you know, for SUPRA, Jabre? Because if it's not the longest chart, let me know and we can get a little bit more history. But the issue here is that with a chart like this, you have nothing reliable to go off of, right? You're essentially, what you're doing, in my opinion, is a high to low range, and you're just waiting, right? Until this can prove itself to you, meaning that it gets over a 0.236 retracement, I would be hands off. The daily has no sign of reversal yet. The lower time frames also, this is a very nice 3-wave motion. So I would still just be honestly hands off for right now. Let's see if anybody else has a SUPRA network, huh? Well, at least you have some fucking more price action. So you can look at this as a range also. Range support around that 888. But once you get to an 888, man, the most common thing to happen here, especially in such a hideous chart, is a bump up to 618 and then a new low into this zone. This would be a really hard sell for me, this chart. I think I could find better stuff to invest in while I wait for this chart to prove itself as a higher efficacy chart than it is right now. Does that make sense? All right. So that was everything. No, we have XRP for Jamie. Let me get that really quickly before I forget, Jamie. 1 second. I need another drink. Did I do XRP early in the stream? Nope. It was XLM. All right. So when we look at XRP, what we're focusing on only is the area reversal, right? So I sent in our Discord a message out to everybody when we were down here, right? And I said that this could reverse in an ABC, right? Even though it was low probability with a very ugly C wave, it had the look, right? You have that displacement and chopping and everything that you needed. The thing that we can also see is that we're now starting to try to make a valid 5-wave motion to the upside. I think this comes from an hourly standpoint on XRP. The most critical thing to see here is that if you're wanting wave 3s, you're wanting volume to come in, which you have. Look at this overall increase in volume. That's amazing. Now, on an hourly, not the most bullish candle, right? Inverted hammer. But they can still be bullish if the next combination of candles starts to eat that up and cover it, okay? Let's get rid of this. Let me get another drink of water. All right. So, if we put a base channel on here from low to high, or 1 to 2, we're looking for acceleration in a 3. The 3 has already passed the 1.618 and it's moving into an extended territory, which most commonly occurs to the 2.618. Then we would look for the wave 4 for an opportunity for leverage to play for the wave 5. Now what I would do here is, in my opinion, you're going to need to be counting this as wave 1 into 2, wave 1 into 2, wave 1 into 2, right? And that's why you're likely getting these 3-4 stackings, right? So we're waiting on the larger degree 3-4 that goes with this 1-2, right? So when it does come, it's going to be a decent little pullback. Whether it comes here at the 2.236 or the 2.618, I can't tell you for sure. But you are finding support on top of the base channel at this point. So for now, as long as it's finding strength and volume's coming in, I'm looking for another high before we get this 3-wave pullback, right? And the difference here, the thing about this 3-wave pullback that we should notice here is that it was kind of not really deep and scary, right? It's kind of like crabby and shitty and down and angled. You might get a little bit of a scarier wave 4 so that we have alternation and structure between 2 and 4. But I do think that overall XRP is working on a valid recovery here. I think the next resistance is coming at 233 to 241. And at that time, we'll be looking for us to make a larger 3-wave pullback in some sort of scary fucking fashion. And then a successive 5-wave motion toward the upside. We'll look for divergence at that time in volume and RSI, and we'll look for the bigger 3-wave pullback into the area of displacement and internal liquidity left behind as a fair value gap and an opportunity. Okay, so that is XRP. Do you have any questions over that one, Jamie? Man, I am happy I held my Bitcoin long, baby. Who knew? Who knew that a bullish weekend could get so good? The reason we sided with it potentially going more than the weekend, guys, and we kept talking about this on Bitcoin, right? We kept talking about why the long bias was good. We talked about in the Discord over and over and over again. It was based upon this time relation of a wave 2 to a wave 4 being around a 1-to-1 in time, taking this correction all the way out until Thursday at 08 in the morning potentially, right? So as long as Bitcoin is making these bullish moves towards the upside, boom, altcoins can get jiggy with it, right? This is something that we covered in my last YouTube. And I covered it because we knew these scenarios were going to come, baby. We've been here before, right? We've been in this arena when Bitcoin's dragging ass downhill, and every so often you get this scamper of the altcoins up, right? It's got to do with the Bitcoin dominance at time while the Bitcoin price is moving in relation to that, okay? All right, the next thing we have coming in the chat is from Volcom Sith. Asked, can we look at Flare? You got it, bud. I hope you're having a good day, dude. I'll be chatting with you soon over other things. If this is who I think it is. My memory's trying to remember all these names all at once. All right, Flare does not have me excited. I'm not trying to get involved with this thing again yet. I would rather wait for a valid movement. I'm going to delete everything here and just talk on a 4-hour. Let's go to an hour, actually. Your only hopeful thing to see here is some sort of diagonal, right? Meaning that this needs to be a contracting, leading diagonal to be most probable, meaning it needs 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, okay? And you don't want to see wave 2 be smaller than wave 4. So you want wave 4 to stay smaller, meaning it doesn't hit a 1-to-1 in relation, which it didn't. Great. We would like to see wave 2 take longer in time than wave 4 takes in time, which it took nearly identical, so that's okay. So it's a little bit maybe on the edge of expansion, and we don't want to see wave 5 get bigger than wave 3. So we go from 0 to 3 to 4. And we begin to watch this. This is likely our next area of interest. A lot of times they'll push it a little harder to the 786, so something to be aware of. But overall, why I would stay not interested is because diagonals are low probability scenarios. You're often wrong, right? That's usually the thing, right? So usually you're wrong. Usually it's not a diagonal. This 3 up, somehow this is corrective. Then it whaps some more shit together, and then pap, you're out of the game. Now, if it is a diagonal, happy days. Let it finish, and then let it do what diagonals do after. A 78.6% retracement from the low to the high of said sequence, wherever it does decide to stop, right? Boom, drawn by hand. Right here, live on stream. So yeah, that's all there is for that. Outside of that, I would stay fucking uninvolved on Flare and watching it. Our low time frame Ethereum is starting to come to fruition here. So you had our possible long for Ethereum starting to work its way in. And when did we talk about that would happen? When we get hidden bull divergence, right? So we want this to make a pullback in a 4 that is equivalent to this 2. So we're going to be looking for a decent pullback here on Ethereum that would last around today at 9:30 p.m. So in about 8 more hours worth of correcting. So we could see this pull back and kind of consolidate here for a bit for the markets. So something to be aware of. Something to be aware of. All right. We're at that point in the stream, I think, where we're going to start to wrap things up. We've covered quite a bit. We covered all the top. We covered Bitcoin, Ethereum. Excuse me, I'm still sick. We covered FARTBOY. basically got everything done that we needed to today. We covered all the big coins. We found some really good gems in the pile. So as always, as a big thank you for you being here, I'll timestamp everything so that you can go back and view this at your own leisure. I did pin the link to my Discord up in the top. Come and check it out. Swing by, see what we're all about. It's a great community full of really great people, and it's like nothing I've ever been involved in. So thank you guys all for your time. Thank you for coming today, and I hope you guys all have the best week.